Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I greet you this morning. Today is May the 30th. It is May the 30th. In a couple days, well, tomorrow, we will be on June 1st. I wanted to say good morning to you. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. This is our HOOD Recovery Services. HOOD is an acronym. HOOD, that stands for Hope Offered on Demand. That is a very powerful, powerful concept. And so I wanted to go into the Just for Today for May 30th with you. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Okay. Wow, I think I'm gonna need a sip of coffee for this one. Okay. Sharing with others keeps us from feeling isolated and alone. Loneliness versus being alone. This is gonna be deep. Basic text, page 85. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being lonely is a state of the art, an emptiness. Let me repeat that. Being lonely is a state of the heart. That's quite different than a state of the art, right? Being lonely is a state of the heart, an emptiness that makes us feel sad and sometimes hopeless. Loneliness is not always alleviated when we enter into relationships or surround ourselves with others. Some of us are lonely even in a room full of people who I can identify. Many of us came to Narcotics Anonymous out of the desperate loneliness of our addiction. After coming to meetings, we began to make new friends, and often our feelings of loneliness ease. But many of us must contend with loneliness throughout our recovery. What's the cure for loneliness? The best cure is to begin a relationship with a higher power that can help fill the emptiness of our heart. We find that when we have a belief in a higher power, we never have to feel lonely. We can be alone more comfortably when we have a conscious contact with a God of our understanding. We often find deep fulfillment in our interactions with others as we progress in our recovery. Yet we also find that the closer we draw to our higher power, the less we need to surround ourselves with others. We begin to find a spirit within us that is our constant companion as we continue to explore and deepen our connection with a power greater than ourselves. We realize we are spiritually connected with something bigger than we are. Just for today, I will take comfort in my conscious contact with a higher power. I am never alone. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the reversion of the Serenity Prayer. This is a good point to pause. Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Okay, I think it's been a while since I've said the Serenity Prayer on the meditation podcast. However, I still get comfort. I still get comfort whenever and however I say it. Now, I want to admit something to you while discussing this just for today. Somewhere around the second paragraph, I noticed I was disconnected from the reading. Even though I fumbled in the beginning, I noticed a disconnect in the second paragraph. And by the time I got to the third paragraph, I was very much aware that I have a tendency to feel lonely, even when I'm with others. Just as the first paragraph stated, right? Some of us are lonely even in a room full of people. So by the time I got to the second paragraph, I was disconnected from the reading. It was just like rote words coming out of my mouth. I'm reading them. By the third paragraph, I had this conscious awareness that I have a tendency to kind of coast through life with this deep seated feeling of loneliness. And I said, this will be a very interesting meditation to consider. And so all I have to offer to you today would be my own experience, strength, and hope with this. And I think I want to start with a woman by the name of Mother Teresa. She served over in the slums in Calcutta, which is in India. She was noted by her nurse to have indicated that towards the end of her life, the last 18 months of her life, she never felt more disconnected from God than during that time period. Here in our reading today, it indicates that as we draw closer to our higher power, we feel the need to surround ourselves with other people less and less. And so I'm challenged here to think about this because I have a very intimate relationship with my God, very intimate, communing regularly. Prayer and meditation seem to be the root of my life. It seems to be what I do fundamentally in a conversation with my higher power and listening. It used to be that I would write what results I got out of meditation, but I'm finding the older I get, the more time I'm spending in the presence of God. So here's the question. This is my question. How is it that I have this constant sense of loneliness, even though I'm one, never alone, very rarely am I ever alone. I enjoy the company of the people that are in my presence. I love them to pieces. We have a good time dating. How is it I have a intimate relationship with my higher power, with God, and I'm in constant fellowship with God, right? And there's still this sense of loneliness. So I have a husband, and he's very kind to me. He's very good to me. He's attentive to me. He's a gentleman with me. And it makes me wonder, where does this sense of loneliness come from? Where does it come from? This is what I submit to you. Because considering the condition of my life, I would have to say I'm not lonely. One, I know I'm never alone, but why would I have this feeling in me that the depthness of friendships is lacking? I've had a few friends that we were in touch with each other every day. It was very uncommon for us to not be in touch with each other. But I don't have that. I have a couple of nieces that we talk pretty regularly, not every day, but at some point in the day, we do either text each other. We probably talk, 3-4 times a week, if that. And I just think this is my solution or my answer for that. I think that I have gotten so carried away and swept away with my relationship with God. It literally consumes my pretty much my every waking moment. I could be having a conversation with the children, with my husband, and it's almost like that is a sub discussion, a sub conversation. That is let me stop this share. That is a discussion that is, it's superficial. It's on the surface, right? It's the thing that you hear, the noise that you hear my voice making, and the noise that my ears are listening to in the physical realm. However, I find that I'm somewhat of I don't want to say a daydreamer, but there's this other automatic thought. There's this other subliminal conversation going on. And it's a constant relationship of talking, sometimes bartering, fleecing, discussing, asking. Um, yeah, with God. I really am not the super religious type of individual. And I do spiritualize things because I believe that everything in the physical is connected to something that has already taken place or will take place. It has taken place, really, because the concept of time just isn't there in the spiritual realm. But I believe that I have gotten so swept away with my love for God and my relationship with God. Even as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the God of my understanding, my holy God, right? And I am sorting, it's almost automatic. I am sifting and sorting my thoughts through the relationship of love that I have with God. And there's this approval or permission to go ahead and express the way that I'm talking, or just a check system. It's something that is deep within my unconscious self, but I'm very much aware of it. And that I'm so attached to that anything that I'm experiencing in the physical realm in regards to friendships, relationships, connectedness with people falls so far short of the joy and the pleasure I get from having an intimate relationship with the God of my understanding. So I think that this ideal that I'm constantly in this state of loneliness, though I don't express it, though I'm interacting with people, though I have a relationship with people, and I'm hardly ever alone, that it is somehow secondary, or it can never measure up. That's where I'm trying to go with this. It can never measure up to the intimacy and relationship that I have with God. And so that, because I'm aware of that, my physical mind wants to tell me, you're lonely. You're dealing with loneliness. You don't find any deep level of pleasure in connectedness to individuals. But that's not true. Because when I'm connected to individuals and I'm interacting with them, one of the things that people will say when it comes to me is that she has this energy of happiness and joy. And I believe it comes directly from my relationship with God. So that is a true just for the day in a meditation. That is a very true statement where it says that as we become more empty or more filled with our relationship with God, in a sense, right? The best cure, here it is. The best cure, instead of me trying to paraphrase, the best cure is to get a relationship with a higher power that can help fill the emptiness of our heart. And I believe that. I believe that my relationship, my comfortability, my relationship with God makes everything else so much smaller. And that somehow the statement of me experiencing loneliness is only true to the extent that I know that even without fellowship, without people and friends and family, I know that I'm very much pleased and peaceful with my relationship with God. And that is my challenge for you today. I want for you to consider that. I want for you to consider, where are you in that space with your relationship with your higher power? If it was just you and your higher power, would you be able to survive? If there was no one interacting with you, calling you, texting you, would you be okay? There's many men of old that spent countless days, years, can I just say that, years, without any connection to any human being. Today we call them hermits, right? Back then we would have called them, in ancient times of old, they would have been called prophets. But my question is that if that was you, would you be okay? And if you feel somehow depressed or saddened about being alone, and you truly feel that you are lonely, you experience this loneliness, I want you to take your relationship with your higher power to a deeper level. Everything that we do in the physical, every interaction, every phone call, every Zoom meeting, every board meeting, every day that we show up on our job and we do what we were hired to do, everything that is physical in nature that involves interacting with other human beings should ultimately be reflective of your relationship with your higher power. My relationship with my higher power is not. Now, I don't want to say there haven't been times that it wasn't. There were times that I was very intent on being revengeful or protecting family members that I was willing to lose my life or go to prison for. Very much so. And I realized for me that that is still a weakness of mine. This need and desire to defend my beloveds at all costs. Knowing goodness well that the third step is involved. I need to turn everything over, right, to the God of my understanding. So I'm not saying that there weren't times where I put my relationship with God on the back burner. There were very many times. But let me tell you a little bit about when those times took place. Those times took place when I had a made up mind about what I was going to do, and I didn't want anyone or anything to try to remind me of God, of the spiritual principles. I wanted to disconnect myself from those spiritual principles so that I could give myself a pass, so that I could condone, right, or justify or rationalize, right, is the word, rationalize what I was about to do. That's the only time that I would put God on the back burner. I want you and I to stay in the comfort of having a relationship with our higher power, because that relationship can fill all of that deep void of loneliness, and we will eventually be able to come to say, just for the day, I take comfort in my conscious contact with a higher power. I am never alone. You should be able to say that. And if you are not able to say that, I want you to make it your business to figure out why and change those blocks, change those barriers to why you're not able to say that. That's what I want for you today. My name is Mighty Stream. I have a funeral service to attend this week for my mother-in-law. I invite your prayers for the journey. I'm taking my stepchildren, and we have at least a 10, more like an 11-hour drive. And so through some mountains, through holiday traffic. So thank you for your prayers. I will be speaking to you again later today, and I will release the video, the podcast for the Just for the Day for tomorrow, sometime this evening, so that when you wake up, it will be completed because I will be on the highway driving. If you need to reach me, reach out to me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Thank you.